This is Vegas Nation Blitz, presented by DNR House of Diamonds, making luxury affordable. Located in the One Summerlin building in downtown Summerlin.
Welcome into Vegas Nation Blitz. I'm your host, Cassie Soto. The Raiders' road trip to the East Coast was unsuccessful this past Sunday as the Silver and Black fell 23-16 to the New York Giants. Now the Raiders must turn their attention to the Kansas City Chiefs as they come into Allegiant Stadium this Sunday, but some more off-field distractions might get in the way of those preparations. Let's get to our top story, brought to you by Capriotti's. Late last week, a video surfaced on the internet showing now former Raiders cornerback Damon Arnett brandishing multiple weapons and making verbal threats. In response to the video, the Raiders released the 2020 first-round pick.
There have been a series of bad decisions over the last year or so, but we cannot stand for the video of Damon with a gun threatening to take a life. The content was unacceptable. This is not how we will conduct ourselves in this community. The bottom line, the Raiders will not tolerate this type of behavior.
Raiders beat writer Vinny Bonsignor joins me now. Vinny, a lot to unpack here for the Raiders these last few weeks. The team has now parted ways with both of their 2020 first-round picks. Of course, Henry Ruggs first after that fatal car accident he was involved in, and now with Damon Arnett after this video surfaced. Can you just give us sort of the state of the Raiders right now, if you can?
Well, I mean, it's hard to quantify that right now. They've been dealing with so much, going all the way back to John Gruden and his resignation suddenly. But, you know, the thing is, what this team has shown that they're very good at is setting things aside in order to go out and play football. There's a lot that's going on off the field, but that's where they have to keep it, and that's where they're trying to keep it. Fortuitous for them that, you know, DeSean Jackson was available to replace Henry Ruggs. I know that it's, you know, with what happened with Henry Ruggs, you don't even want to think about football. But the reality is the Raiders have to figure out a way to replace Henry Ruggs, the football player who was blossoming and becoming the player that they wanted him to be. And his departure left a huge void in terms of what he brought to the table. And they go out and get DeSean Jackson in order to kind of help fill that a little bit. But otherwise, I mean, you know, Damon Arnett, it's losing your other first-round pick, inexplicable, but he wasn't really doing much on the team. He was on injury reserve. We rarely have seen him over the last 6 weeks or so. So from a football perspective, that wasn't a huge loss right now in the interim. It'll be felt, though, because now the Raiders have to go find a young quarterback because they were expecting him to be around here for the next, 5, 6, 7 years. That obviously isn't going to happen.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned the Raiders making things official now with wide receiver DeSean Jackson. We saw him for the first time at practice on Wednesday. We also got to hear him speak in a press conference, so let's go ahead and hear from him real quick before we dive into it.
After I got released, was it like 2 weeks ago, I kind of was really just sitting back reflecting. Didn't really rush to make any decisions. Just really wanted to see, the best situation to fit me. And, once I finally cleared waivers, obviously my agent, had a few teams, that was very interested in, for me, just more like I was interested in a playoff contender. I wanted to go somewhere to a winning culture and had a chance to make the playoffs. So, kind of narrow it down to a few teams and, just being an LA guy, being, close to home, the weather, all that good stuff. I didn't want to go nowhere cold, and, I just felt like the Raiders fit, matched perfect. So that's kind of how, it got intrigued on my end.
Well, he says he didn't want to go to cold weather. I think it was like 75 degrees today at practice, fall in Las Vegas. So he picked a pretty good spot to end up at.
Yeah, I was wondering if he was thinking, wow, it's a little hotter than I expected it to be here in November. But you know what I came away from talking to DeSean today was, if you're going to bring in a veteran or a player at this point, what better player than a guy that's seen it all, that obviously has grown up. He admitted that, some of the mistakes that he made years ago, that he's learned from. He's a guy that brings to the table exactly what they need in the speed game. He's going to be able to pick up the offense fairly quickly and get a package for him, I'm sure, as early as Sunday against the Kansas City Chiefs. So it's like I said, it was fortuitous, given the circumstances, that a player of the caliber of DeSean Jackson and the experience of DeSean Jackson, having seen every offense, every defense, he understands what's going on out there, to be available at this point. I mean, in a year where bad fortune has been hovering over the Raiders, they got a stroke of good fortune in this case.
That's great. All right, Vinny, thank you so much. Once again, our top stories were brought to you by Capriotti's. There's no better time than game time to score party favorites. Order online to get Capriotti's party trays, box lunches, or large subs for the whole crew. Mic check.
I try my best. I talk a lot of football, obviously, and I correct things, and I'm always talking and all. But I also try and just talk about life with my teammates too. And there's definitely conversations that come up, especially with. It feels like there's been something every week, and we don't even want, you don't even want to go on a plane flight and check your phone, let alone, have something else happen, and that's why I think it's important. I think in the time that we're in, for the guys that some of this stuff hasn't happened to take a reflection and make sure that you're doing things the right way.
No matter what, we still got a job to do. We know the rest of the league don't care, so we got to come in and handle business. We're professionals. You can't really let what happens on the outside affect what's going on in the field. Once you step on that field, you got to be at where your feet at and just really concentrate on that. And even today, it was high energy. It's probably one of the best Wednesday practices we had in a long time, and we just got to keep that going. Every day you come to work, that's what it is, work.
Around the League, sponsored by Pirate Plumbing, the masters of disasters. Hey everyone, it's Heidi Fang here with Adam Hill, our NFL and Raiders writer. We're going to get into what's going on around the league, particularly with the AFC West. All teams right now with 5 wins, Chargers on top of the division. Adam, what does this mean for the AFC West going down the stretch?
It means that every game is incredibly important. Obviously, every team within a half game of each other. And it seemed like for a while, maybe the Chargers were going to run away and hide and be that team to put everybody away. They've kind of faltered a little bit. The Raiders, we saw what happened. You can't give those games away. Games like the game against the Giants, that can't happen in a race like this that is so tight because Kansas City is lurking. They still haven't played well. They've been kind of like the story of the league. Hey, what's wrong with Kansas City? Guess what? They're only a half game out. So, every team in the division needs to know that every single week could be the game that could decide where this race goes down the stretch. And I think the underlying story right now for everyone is, when is Kansas City going to get right, if it's going to happen? Because if it does, that team will probably be the winner of the division. But if not, it's a wide open race here for everyone.
As we look into Week 10 and the matchups, which team do you feel like is really actually getting hot right now?
Oddly enough, it's Denver. That's the team that I think a lot of people wrote off. They won their first 3 games against bad competition. Then they kind of came back to earth a little bit. We saw what happened against the Raiders. Now they're starting to get right again, which is weird because they're selling off players. Von Miller is gone. They're kind of moving on from a couple of guys, making some trades, but they're playing very well right now. So it's kind of somebody different every week. Right now, Denver's the hottest. I don't think that'll continue for very long, but obviously the game between the Raiders and Kansas City is going to be huge. Somebody kind of separate themselves a little bit in this division race. And don't forget, every single game that is between division opponents could also be big for tiebreakers later on in the year.
All right. Great stuff as always, Adam. He's Adam Hill. I'm Heidi Fang.
DNR House of Diamonds is Las Vegas's elite private office jeweler, the perfect bridge between internet pricing and a traditional brick-and-mortar jewelry store. We specialize in loose diamonds, natural and lab-grown, engagement rings, fashion jewelry, custom design, and jewelry repairs. We operate by appointment in our beautiful offices in the One Summerlin building, downtown Summerlin. Our great relationships with the world's largest diamond wholesalers and our low overhead saves you hundreds, if not thousands, on your purchase.
Vegas Nation Game Day Live. The latest Raider breaking news on VegasNation.com 90 minutes before kickoff. Game Day Live, sponsored by South Point Sportsbook. Vegas Nation Injury Brief, sponsored by Knock the Injury Law.
With your Raiders Injury Brief, I'm Leandre Fox. The Raiders entered Sunday's game against the Giants with a clean injury report. They did not leave the game the same way. Linebacker Nick Kwiatkowski, cornerback Keyshawn Nixon, and defensive tackle Darius Philon all sustained ankle injuries during the contest. The Raiders did announce Philon had been placed on injured reserve, and as a result, they've called up Kendall Vickers from the practice squad. Vickers has appeared in 16 games for the Raiders, starting twice, recording 10 tackles and 2 sacks. Though he is typically used as a defensive end, they've designated him as a D tackle for this call-up. Obviously, they think that he has the versatility to add some depth to the position with Philon out for at least 3 weeks. Interim coach Rich Bisaccia noted that cornerback Keyshawn Nixon got a little bit of running in at practice before being held out for the rest of the day. He and Kwiatkowski will be day-to-day. Should Nixon be unable to play, that could mean more snaps for Amik Robertson on the outside. Obviously, cornerback Trayvon Mullen is still on IR. Bisaccia did give an update on him. They are hoping he will return before the game against the Washington football team.
Vegas Nation, the road ahead, sponsored by your Southern Nevada Toyota dealers. Toyota, let's go places.
Cassie Soto back here with you, and I am joined by sports columnist Ed Graney. Ed, before we get to the road ahead, I need us to reverse a little bit. Can you please tell us what you saw in New York and in the Raiders' performance versus the Giants?
Cassie, I saw a terrible offense. Let's be honest about it. One of Derek Carr's worst games in a long time, 1 of 6 in the red zone. They just couldn't get it going. Afterwards, we asked each player, were you affected by the Henry Ruggs situation during the week? They all said, no, I don't believe it. I think preparation-wise on Wednesday and Thursday, it was tough for them. What happens then when you don't prepare as well as you should translates to the game. It was not a good game offensively.
And well, looking ahead now, the road ahead has the 5-4 Kansas City Chiefs coming to visit the now 5-3 Las Vegas Raiders here at Allegiant Stadium. What are your expectations for that game?
Aren't we all waiting for the Chiefs to be in that scary movie part where we know the scary part's coming and it jumps out at you? That's the Raiders need to hope that doesn't happen this week. The Chiefs have not been great, but you know there'll be a game where Pat Mahomes throws for 450 yards and 5 touchdowns. It can't happen this week if the Raiders expect to win. So, the Chiefs are struggling for the Chiefs, but the Raiders need to play a lot better this week than they did in New York to have a chance. I think they'll play better, but they could actually play better, Cassie, and still lose. It all depends on the Chiefs this week. I think it depends a lot more on the Chiefs than it does the Raiders.
Thank you so much for watching Vegas Nation Blitz. We hope you join us on Friday for Vegas Nation Game Day as we help get you ready for the Raiders' home matchup versus the Kansas City Chiefs. For our entire Vegas Nation crew, I'm Cassie Soto. We'll see you soon.
Powered by the Las Vegas Review-Journal, this is Vegas Nation Blitz. Presented by D&R House of Diamonds, making luxury affordable. Located in the One Summerlin building in downtown Summerlin.